I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Makes the lame to walk and the blind to see. Opens prison doors, sets the captives free. I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Spring out the well, splish splash, splish splash within my soul. Spring out the well, gush gush and make me whole. Spring out the well, yee-haw, and give to me that life abundantly. I got a river of life flowing out of me. Makes the lame to walk and the blind to see. Opens prison doors, sets the captives free. I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Spring out the well, splish splash, splish splash within my soul. Spring out the well, gush gush and make me whole. Spring out the well, yee-haw, and give to me that life abundantly. I got a river of life flowing out of me. Makes the lame to walk and the blind to see. Opens prison doors, sets the captives free. I've got a river of life flowing out of me. Spring up the well, splash, 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 splash within my soul. Spring up the well, gush, gush and make me whole. Spring up the well, yee-haw, and give to me that life.
Greetings from Beaver Camp's kitchen. Rather an odd setting perhaps for some of you. Perhaps you've never seen the inside of the kitchen, so I hope to enlighten some of you as to what's going on here. But also, as this is a fireside, I hope that I can enlighten you to a passage that I've prepared today from Luke 10, verses 38 to 42, and perhaps it's familiar to some, and I would encourage you to read along with me. As they continued their travel, Jesus entered a village, and a woman by the name of Martha welcomed him and made him feel quite at home. She had a sister, Mary, who sat before the Master, hanging on every word he said. But Martha was pulled away by all she had to do in the kitchen. Later, she stepped in, interrupting them. "Master, don't you care that my sister has abandoned me to the kitchen? Tell her to lend me a hand." And the Master said, "Martha, dear Martha, you're fussing far too much and getting yourself worked up over nothing. Only one thing is essential, and Mary has chosen it. It's the main course, and it won't be taken from her." So keeping in line with these fireside chats, we're talking about love. And I have the opportunity to spend some time with you discussing love as far as we know it as quality time. And this is especially hard because I find myself failing at this often. Just like Martha did in this passage. You see, Martha starts with good intentions. She had the intention of spending time with Jesus. It says that she invited him into her home, and she made him feel welcome there. But it also says that she was pulled away from his presence. She just felt that she had to be prepared in order to spend time with Jesus. And so she begins to prepare this meal. And I would say to you that that is what led her to become anxious. It's what led her to become troubled. And ultimately, it's what led her to become distracted from her original intent. You see, I think when we think of quality time, it really should be called quality attention. Problem is, it just doesn't sound as good. So you see, quality time is giving someone your undivided attention. And I don't mean sitting on the couch and watching television. No, it's sitting on the couch with the TV turned off and looking into one another's eyes. It's hard for us to do. How often do you find yourself maybe with the TV off, in the same room, on that same couch, but you're on your cell phone? And the person that you're supposedly spending time with is also sitting on that same couch on their cell phone. I'm speaking of my own household. I do this far too frequently, and I miss out on the original intent. You see, quality time is about giving each other your undivided attention. And Martha was missing out on Jesus' teaching because she was distracted. And then she sees Mary at Jesus' feet, and so, in her frustration, Martha asks Jesus to tell Mary to help her. And look closely at the Master's response, at Jesus' response. He responds sympathetically. He says, "Martha, dear Martha." He didn't rebuke her. He sympathized with her. He spoke to her anxiousness, her troubled spirit, the things that had distracted her from her original intent. And he says, only one thing is essential. Jesus wanted Martha's undivided attention. He wanted to put away all the other distractions that had overwhelmed her. Forget about the meal preparations. Look at your sister. Mary has chosen the good portion. You see, Jesus had also prepared a meal, while Martha was so distracted with her own preparations. And he calls it the main course. It was his word, his teaching. And as I said before, she was missing out on these things. She was missing out on her original intent because she was distracted. Far too often I can relate to Martha. I start with good intentions, and yet somewhere along the lines, I become distracted. And perhaps it's not with bad things whatsoever. Perhaps it's good things as we look at ministry. And I find this in my own life, that sometimes I'm so overwhelmed with the task at hand that I forget who I'm serving in doing these tasks. So I'll pose to you what Christ has posed to me in studying this portion again. If you give Jesus Christ the quality time, the attention he is so rightly deserved, our love for others will flow out of that. Because if we look back at our verse, our theme verse for this week, found in Corinthians, it says, if we don't have love, essentially all the work that we've put in, all the preparations that we've made, they're for nothing. So how do we spend time with Jesus? The way Mary and Martha did. His word, through scripture, through time devoted to reading his word, through prayer, and through the church. This is an odd time for perhaps all of us, with social distancing possibly being required even at your churches. And I encourage you to respect those guidelines, but understand that these three things are essential. For out of these, our love of Christ flows to others. Thank you for your time this morning.